Hi, I'm Niels Nielsen. I am a recovering ex-mechanical engineer who now self-describes as a Gonzo engineer. We're filming a video today in my shop where I do my work, which nowadays consists of building interesting musical instruments, doing Western art, modifying guitar amplifiers, and basically having as much fun as I can repurposing, recycling, and reusing raw materials to build my projects. I particularly like repurposing things that I find and putting them together in unexpected ways. I do this with electric basses, loudspeaker enclosures, guitar amplifiers. I do it with Western art. I even do it with the motorcycles that I ride around town. Motorcycles by themselves are pretty boring until you do interesting things to them, and by that I don't mean loading them up with a bunch of chrome-plated baloney. I mean attaching half-size anti-tank missile replicas to the saddlebags, drilling a hole in the center of the windshield, and mounting a plastic AR-15, which I think we might actually have a pile of them sitting in one corner of my secret laboratory. There's no bigger source of enjoyment for me than when I'm going down the road riding one of these things and a car pulls up alongside me and I look over at it and the people are taking cell phone videos of me as I go flying down the road. Part of the fun that I have putting my projects together is whenever possible I'll create a backstory that goes with the piece. For instance, when I'm building a guitar amplifier, it's supposed to look like it was built originally in a certain period of time, like the 1920s or the 30s or the 40s or the 50s. I will decorate the inside of the case with newspaper clippings that are appropriate to that period of time, so that anybody that pops the case open to look at what's inside is going to see newspaper clippings from that period of time. In the case of my vehicular art, I created an entire elaborate fake backstory to accompany my vehicle that I named the Death Scooter. For my Death Scooter vehicular art, I created a far more elaborate backstory for it that had to do with a CIA-sponsored uprising on an island in the South Pacific. It was a lot of fun. When my kids were small, I followed in my own father's footsteps and constructed for them a toy airplane out of plywood that was big enough that they could sit inside. And the project got quite elaborate. The end product was 17 feet long and weighed about 650 pounds. It was basically a playhouse on wheels that I could roll up and down our driveway, and the kids inside could pretend that they were flying across the Atlantic Ocean. Over the years, I built 4 of these things and tore them apart and rebuilt them in various different forms to keep the idea fresh and keep my kids engaged. I've also, in the last few years, gotten interested in Western art themes that use, again, all recycled and repurposed raw materials. Barbed wire, worn-out Levi's, cowboy boots, pieces of aluminum extrusion, rope. For example, I put together a piece called a Roadkill Cowboy that looks like a cowboy that's been run over several times by automobiles at high speed. I also make more practical things than that, that are hat and coat hangers out of the same sorts of material. As a recovering ex-engineer, my fundamental design philosophy is that there is no creativity without constraint. By this I mean that if I had $10,000 to spend on accomplishing a project, I would simply open the catalogs up, buy what I needed off the shelf, bolt it together, and be done with it. If I have to accomplish the same task and I've only got $100 to spend on it, I am going to have to be a lot more creative. That philosophy is exactly what I follow when I'm building musical instruments, Western art, vehicular art, or anything else that takes place in my shop. I'm Niels Nielsen, Gonzo Engineer, and I approve this message.